Our next and last speaker for today is Piotr Darwaj. He is executive consultant at IBM, and he will talk about making blockchain real for business. So, please.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Gamar Joba, this is what I learned in Georgian, and Privet also, I understand and speak a little bit in Russian, and of course in Polish. I am from Warsaw, Poland. So, being last, thank you that you are still here alive. Hopefully you still have capacity to listen and understand. I try to be short and precise. Real for business. It was lots of about ICOs, and I'm coming from IBM. Dinosaurs of technology, yes? Where are we? Where is our business down there? So today I would like really talk how to use that, and that's my profession for the last 20 years. I finished the computer science, but I'm a business consultant. So I'd like to give you some ideas how to actually ingest all these new technologies. I'm not sure it's new technologies, but these technologies into the traditional business. How to make money for all the clients who can use it for the very traditional business processes, starting from finance, which is quite always in avant-garde of any innovations, but also supply chain, also any handling of the information of any assets. In fact, my previous person was just explaining all the concepts of blockchain, which are very much applicable to the traditional business. It's about exchanging goods, of communicating, and communication between the parties. So now, Gartner, is it innovation? When it really hits the traditional business, where it will be applicable for us? Here it says 5 to 10 years would be blockchain as a new platform for doing the business. I tend to say it would be faster. I think that we are over the hype, and now we are really starting to talk how to apply it in a normal, I would say, heavy industries, everyday life, every processes. And today I would like to talk about what are conditions. What are conditions from the business perspective to choose appropriate business case, to choose where this technology fits, because it does not necessarily fit everywhere. It's something which simplistically say, when I said it's not necessarily new technology, it's an implementation of decentralized transactional system. Stop. That's including all the mechanisms which make it possible, immune, which is provide providence of the data, but still it's a distributed transaction systems. From conceptual point of view, it's for decades. From technology point of view, it's a couple of decades. Now, we have one thing. Bitcoin has proved it's working. So now we have like a real evidence that it's to be applicable from maturity of technology to be a real solution. And now I think the challenge in many cases, how we see that, is where to apply it. Where is this making sense of putting this into the picture of the business life of every company? And I think that slide was just by chance very much what I was observing today. We just really talk about the ICOs, about the cryptocurrencies, as a primary use of the blockchain technology. But I would rather say, okay, it's only one use of that. There was mentioned about digital identity. That's about the financial processes. But there is also logistics. There is all around huge potential market for using this technology. And today I would like to use a little bit more how, where we can use it, and what basis make this decision. So, on the right side, you have a little bit maybe rephrasing of some of the terms which were used just before. So, in order to talk about the blockchain, we need to have a business network. We need to have a certain group of business partners who cooperate with each other. So they have interest in cooperating cooperating, but not necessarily the same goals. So there needs to be an asset and value to be transferred. It could be a good, could be a coal or corn, or could be like any other digital representation of that. Like it was said, like the Pokemons, which was exactly the same. And there, during that exchange, there is a value creation. So it serves for something. It's not exchange just for exchange. And these three elements are prerequisite to talking about distributed transactional system. And the heading is about the trust. So if I, for example, I'm fully trusting you, do I need any support for that? No, because that's done. But if there is anything which maybe I am not sure do interact in an honest way, then this technology may help with all the nice advantages it brings. So we have a couple of the use cases which we can think which one to use blockchain, an idea. So let's say dispute resolution. Would it be a case then myself, maybe I got a delivered goods, and maybe it's broken. And I'm calling to my logistics partner, hey, it's broken. And he said, no, you signed the paper, it's not broken. Or our inspection have said it's not broken. And we're starting the dispute. So if we are able to represent the transaction in an interaction using the blockchain, there will be only one story. So basically, disputes will not happen. And that's the point. So we had the network, myself and logistics provider. Then we had a transfer and some representation of the transfer, on asset transfer. And I bought this good for purpose. It's important for me. I'm not neglecting that. But let's say if I would say a holiday tracking tool. I would like to record what's happening with my holidays, my schedule. Yes, there are many sources of information. But it's not necessarily, I'm just sourcer of information. I'm not exchanging. So I'm just clicking on many sources, putting to the one place, and then maybe it's enough. So not going into all of the details, while thinking where blockchain can be applicable, we should make such a discussion, such a decision process. On that, so that's the examples. How to put that in a structure. So when you think about the business case, this is the things which you should take into account, making your own assessment. First, blockchain, it brings qualitative change. But then there was quite a few discussions about regulations. So some of the regulations allow to do it. Some needs to be adapted. So if you are thinking about using blockchain in a business scenario, first check with the regulations. Because there are very good ideas how to improve, make this operational excellence cheaper, faster, but then some regulations needs to follow. So maybe if you are thinking about any use case, start something which maybe is not regulated, or which support regulations, which compliance. Any compliance cases which needs that the evidences needs to be stored in a secure, untouchable manner, this is the first things to start, because they really, this technology do support that exactly requirement. That business process. Yeah, there are many business processes. Now, but still, we are not, we do have legacy systems. So we need to think how to distinguish all these good characteristics which are getting through the, thank you for the blockchain, with the legacy systems. So we need to think about how to integrate this layer of logic with the existing source of information, transactional systems. So once again, that's the area where I can start, where I can make the good case of blockchain. So integration comes with it, yes? And finally, the governance. When we talk about the business partners, if I will be, let's say, talking about there is a nice case in Poland. In telecommunication sector, there is a number portability, which is probably quite common everywhere, that when you change the operator, the number stays with the same with you. In energy sector, with the distribution of energy, when you changes the supplier of your energy, it is now working the same. The point is, the data of my usage of electricity is a value, because based on that, it's all profiling what would the tariffs should be to me. But still, I would like very smooth change of my provider. So none of these distributors really trust each other. They don't want to build, or I would say it's quite likely they don't want to build a central system, because anybody who would be really working as a clearinghouse who have superior power, superior information about all transactions. So once again, blockchain could come in a place. There is a network, and the governance and the argument of having equal agreed right upfront when we create our network is the point. Oops, sorry. And then you see the technological things comes at the end. There are a number of standards, some of them have been mentioned, but still the business, I would say, in our opinion, are more important. Because, as you said before, it will settle down. The standards will appear. The blockchain networks will communicate with each other. It would be as it is right now. Now we are having the hype. Now we are having the many opportunities, many new ideas. But then finally it will become as a standard. So, how to summarize it? How to start the journey in a traditional business with the blockchain? First principle we would advise you, start small. So select something based on the previous slide criteria, something that's manageable. Because technology, which is important, is not necessarily the biggest challenge in such a project which is going to bring valuable outcomes, business outcomes. But then don't forget about scaling up. Even if you try small, you need to have in mind that it brings large potential to use really on a large scale. Then identification of many participants with different goals, because that's about the trust. If we have already a network of our trusted partners, you don't need technology. Second, what's the digital asset? What we're exchanging? What we really do take care? In my example with the parcel is that I have really one view of the transaction between me and the logistics provider, which is represented by the token or this parcel and the information associated, whether it's correct or broken. And finally, where to choose? Do not over-engineer at the beginning. We all learn. We learn the technology. Technology is becoming after release even better and having new functionalities. But then we need to all learn how to use it. And everything is for the business. It needs to be the business. Without that, it will be then disappear as many ideas have disappeared before. So, how we are doing with the time? How much time do you have? 2 minutes. Okay, so let's say. So I would like to present. There are many cases, hundreds of cases, which we as an IBM did on the world. I just use the cases which I've been participating with my colleagues from IBM Poland. And this is a representation of exactly all that scenario. So central security of deposits, depository, have a challenge that minority shareholders don't necessarily often take part in general meetings of shareholders. So how to make them working? How to make them participating? Sometimes even there is like a main shareholder who has 50% of the shares, but then it could be hundreds who has one by one have also quite large of them. So their opinion does matter during voting. So the principal idea, make it easy for them. But also secure all the necessary information that it can be applied in such important voting mechanisms for the companies. And that the blockchain is used for that. So that's one of the examples. There is another one from Polish Clearinghouse. I'm happy to say it more on the, let's say, networking time. But I would not be IBM if I would say, show the big slide. We are big. Yes, so we are big. We do business with the blockchain. We do have skills. We do support technology. And this is definitely what we think is our strength and to be recognized and not neglected for the business use. Then, how we think we'd like to help companies to work with the clients. It's just really by identifying the cases, where to start, where it makes sense. Because so many projects have started and fallen. So before you really start in the new ideas, make the justified business case. And this is what we'd like to promote, and we are promoting as a good way of implementing innovative ideas. Then, how to do it in Georgia, in the region? So, I'm from IBM. We cooperate with HT Solutions, and this is why we are here. So, welcome everybody. If anybody is interested, I'm ready to answer any questions, work with you. Thank you very much. Any questions or afterwards? Or we are just tired? Okay, there is a question. Thank you.
I perfectly understand you. Thank you. I perfectly understand you and your points because I represent really private sector. I work with these businesses, and you will agree with me 100% that businesses don't buy promises. They buy solutions, and we see very few solutions right now. The challenge, well, I'm not going to go into the details because...
we would have time in a moment. It's just a last presentation. Come on.
Yeah, but, you know, what would you advise would be the best way to talk and to engage the uneducated business person who is 100% in his or her daily activities? What would engage him or her in talking about these things, and how it is better to go forward? Of course, I saw too many hints there,
yep.
And I agree to them, but I'll go to the specifics. For example, ICO. Mm-hmm. I, for example, don't think that the one-time pre-sale or ICO or whatever it is not a good fit, because you make it once and then it's gone. The opportunity is gone. Maybe several rounds of private sales is a good idea, but when you go to the business person and talk about an opportunity, and if you tell him that I'm going to tokenize something and buy tokens, which represent IOU obligations actually, they might not engage. So it will be a hard start. I think you got the point, right?
Yes,
so which would be the best way to start? Because these people will not just buy IOU obligations. They want something, maybe they want equity from the very start. So
I think that's the answer. Address real business challenge.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
And I think that was my introductory about my background, because this is about the business. So just the traditional, let's say, business has a new tool to address the old issues. So start conversation and make maybe this discussion deeply, because that's the issue. We start with the issue. And then go whether it's a fit for the solution, not the other way around. It's not about that we do have a technology. No. We start after with the issue, and pains always it's more recognized, or opportunity, yes? And maybe that could be a time to talk about this case. Why clearinghouse is going to be interested? There is a question to you in a blockchain. What's the primary strategic thing why clearinghouse is, maybe it's not, to be interested in a blockchain? Any ideas? No good, no right answers.
Save costs, maybe.
Maybe the cost. Any other ideas? What? Settlement time. Sure. But I would be more rapid. There is no need for clearinghouse. That's in essence it is. I do not have need to intermediate party to facilitate any settlements between a network of banks. Because blockchain, I said it's a distributed transaction processing, but it's all a peer-to-peer network. So, strategically, it's not only Polish clearinghouse, but SWIFT also is a part of another alliance, is promoting that for the very simple reason. If I would not be in here, I may lose my market. Of course, it's regulated. Of course, there is a need because of certain regulation in each of the country, region, whatever. But unless I start, learn that, be prepared, the business justification, not regulatory one, may disappear. So the idea behind it, and it's a slightly different, and I can, let's say, do not take the time, but I can tell more. They decided start with that, because if we want to be in the next decade or so, we need to have a solution. And by the way, it's a case not for the pain, because it's a strategic threat. It's rather how to bring more money for this organization, for the new services on the Polish banking system. That's what's hidden here.
Okay, thank you very much.